Oh yeah. Take one. What's up, guys? It is your boy Oxy, the agent of Krump, and now the champion, the Krump champion, first Krump winner in the Red Bull Krump tournament. That's right. So Red Bull had their first ever Krump only competition. That is a segment that they added in to the All Styles and to the World Final. This is all a part of the big event that happened in LA this past weekend. I have not been doing YouTube videos. I've been doing a lot of training, doing a lot of battling, doing a tournament over at the Get Off. And so leading up to this, I had a lot of time to lab, build, and now I get to finally talk about all of the stuff that I experienced and everything that's been going on. But before we do that, a couple shout outs. First, Buck Originals for getting me this sweatshirt, gifted it to me for winning the Red Bull Krump tournament. So I was super amped to be able to have another Krump gear item that has been put onto my radar, and now it's on your radar. So be sure to check them out. Get some of their gear. It's the OG, the Mecca, just getting a lot of stuff to represent Krump in California, where it started. Secondly, shout out to Buck Basics. I always rock this hat. This is like my fashion piece, my Krump statement, and it also is like a part of my identity. So a lot of stuff that I like, she made this thing custom designed for me, and we talked through the whole process. So if you're looking to get a custom hat, you're looking for something that can really spark not only the noise, I do make sure that this is something that I keep on me at all times. So check her out. Check out a lot of her hats that she already has made. And again, place your orders for a custom hat today. Now to get into the conversation here, there's a lot that I want to go through, but I also don't want to put too much of your time into this. So we're going to do this in segments here. So first, I want to talk about just the Red Bull experience and what this means for Krump, what this meant for me, and also how it felt winning and just like being a part, competing against people that, again, I have yet to go against in some cases, like Riot. I've never battled Riot until this tournament. I've never battled solo up until this tournament. Outside of a couple little moments in here and there, I know I've battled Dread. We actually made it to the finals for a second tournament in a row. We did Get Off, and during the Get Off, we made it to the finals in Dread 1, and I got to get my get back because I went in and took the win at this tournament. So it's all within the elements of fun, engagement, enjoyment, and also community building and how we can really represent Krump in a good light. So in the Red Bull experience in general, I do feel like it was a much needed spark for a grander scheme, but it also could be the downfall. And it's a twofold way. There's a lot of positives and negatives to the Red Bull experience. It's not necessarily for Red Bull itself, but I think it comes down to our community, how we perceived this event, how we perceived things that are going on, and how we choose to respond to these said things. And that's what I want to kind of give a little discussion about. So first, let's go through the positives. One, exposure. Obviously, this is huge. And it was free. Keep that in mind. This was a test run that they were trying to do, kind of just maybe. I can't speculate this. This is all alleged, everything I'm saying here. But maybe this was a grand, again, scheme because Krump, being the style that it is, the energy, the battle intention, the music, these are all things that we haven't been able to showcase in this space. And so this was a way, and we've already had Krump, but I'm talking about only Krump. Krump music, Krump genre, everything. This is actually a point where we could give our energy and it be on a platform to where we can really touch the hearts and minds of the people who are watching all over the world who have no idea what this is about. Now, we can't get away from the negative stereotypes that come with Krump, but we can usher in a new direction in terms of how Krump can be perceived, as long as we don't jeopardize it by trying to overdo it ourselves. Now, exposure put aside, there also comes down to the representation of Krump. Now, we're talking about over 70 people. Over 70 people came into the prelims. Now, I obviously expected a little bit more. I ain't gonna lie. I expected there to be at least like 100, 120. But a little over 70 people came in, and they had to minimize it into a top 8. So really quick, shout out to the judges. It was Crush, Outrage, and Miss Prissy. So shout out to them, not only for being a part, putting it on, but with that representation, that also means that we as a community also have to showcase not only how good we can be on the dance floor, but how good we could be as people. Because this is also their first time seeing us in a different light. How many people do you know outside of dance as dancers? And Krump already, like I said, has a pretty bad rep in terms of the energy that they carry themselves with. And nobody really sees us as the people that we are as much as they see us as the dancers that we are and how we put things on the floor. So this is a good opportunity, again, to showcase and, like I said, represent Krump in that space. It's good for us to have that opportunity, but it also could easily be taken away depending on how many people really do put themselves in awkward situations, and it takes away the integrity. However you choose to see this, if this is for you, if the shoe fits, wear it. Now, we are going to be in situations similar to this. Redbull is not the biggest of all things that Krump can be. But as of what the current state of what this is one of the biggest opportunities that Krump has to an overall audience, to non-Krumpers. This is a big deal. How we approach this should always be coming from a place of not only gratitude for this opportunity, but also that we can showcase how great we are overall. I have seen a few things that have come across my radar that haven't been the best, and so I already kind of see where the downfall of certain areas could be. And so I'm putting this into your headspace as a Krumper, as a dancer, and if you're just a fan of the craft, this is also for you as well. We as a community are great. We have many talented individuals. We have many opportunities that are going to be presented to us. But our limit is that sometimes we just don't know how to keep our mouths closed. Opinions is a very big thing. We have haters every day. I don't mind ignorance from people who don't understand. But we also got that same type of ignorance within the community. And that's where we tend to have our biggest faults. When we have these situations, when we have these opportunities, if you are somebody who is trying to push yourself in a better direction, if you're trying to represent Krump, and I will go over a little bit of how you can do so. One of the biggest things that you can do for yourself is to keep your mouth closed. Not to the personal side of things, not at the expense of your safety in your life, but to the expense that could potentially be your future and career in this craft. Understand that your mouth has weight, and as somebody who is the future potentially to represent, things that you say will always be used against you. I ain't saying that because something's happening right now, but it is saying this because I can see the potential of where we are, where we can be, and I want to make sure that we're ushering into a better direction. Whatever your history is, whatever your lifestyle is, whatever your background is, whether it be ethically, whether it be religiously, whether like anything, racially, we all come down to the same place, and that is understanding the spirit and essence of being a part of a community and really putting in our best foot forward within ourselves, within what we deem as our higher power, and that connection to the dance floor and how we choose to represent our skill within all of that. It is a big deal. Moving forward, I know that there was a couple questions in terms of how I prepped and for like how did these battles end up feeling and how everything went down. The battles that I had were Riot, Solo, and Dre. Riot was probably my most kind of nerve-wracking one because I've never battled him, and I have only known him as a heavy OG. Yes, feelings was like, oh yeah, but I do also know what I trained for. I do know what I put in. I do know the time that I put into the lab. How I came about a lot of my battles was to release that feeling of being beneath somebody. Because when it comes down to it, when you're on the dance floor and it is you against them, that level for that moment does not exist. I have respect for every single person that I went on the dance floor with. I have respect for the craft of even everybody who made it to the top 8, everybody who jumped into the prelims. Everybody has that respect I had to show them I don't see you as above me or below me. I see you as my battle. I see you as my target, and I will treat you accordingly. And I do my best work, and I hope that it works out. I'm not going to overly risk myself. I'm not going to overly adjust and push myself over the limits because there's a huge crowd around me. I'm going to do what I trained, and I'm going to hope that that is enough to get me to win. And hey, it worked. I won. In terms of prep, in a basic, small version of a much, much grander process, I would say that you always work on your foundation. You will always work on your creativity. You will always work on your ability to work crowds, sessions, people, how to share, and then how to perform. This goes into intention. This goes into confidence. This goes into yourself. So these are the 4 areas that I feel like are the best. And even though this is like quite common and everybody should know this, being on beat. It's a crazy way. I'm only saying this because that is a thing. Being on beat, staying within the music. And those are the 5 things that I think that hold the biggest weight. The foundation is something that we capitalize on a lot. The foundation is also something that we teach so often. There's videos everywhere on foundation. But I feel like people do want the creative side. They want the moves. But that's not where the levels go. The levels go into where's your foundation. Then after that, you start to build into where your creativity is. How can you finish these moves? How are you selling and performing and capitalizing on the moments that you make? These are all things that we push heavy. If you want to know how I prep for that, I will be talking a little bit more in detail throughout the rest of the year for sure. That's going to be on my other sites and my subscriptions for all of you guys who are my agents. Subscribe. Appreciate you guys for tapping in, putting in that effort into the little things like that, because that helps go a long way towards other bigger opportunities that are going to come from it. All right, now we can get into the bread and butter. What did we win? Now, we obviously got this amazing plaque. If you guys can see it, it says Redbull Dance Your Style World Final, Roll 25 for the year. Scene is Krump winner, and then take 1 because it is the first. So super, super dope. I love this, especially also as a filmmaker, creative, and a content creator. This is like perfect. I low-key might even be using this for my own stuff in the future. And then I had a cash prize as well. I will not disclose, but I will say that I was generously compensated for that. So I originally came in because it was free to enter. I had only assumed that exposure and a plaque was what was going to be given, but it turned out to be so much more, and I'm so grateful for that. Now, I know that a lot of people are also going to say things like what should have happened. The should-haves, would-haves, and could-haves in terms of the battles, in terms of the top 8, in terms of the music, in terms of the judges, in terms of all of these little factors here. And I would like to tell you right now, this is also where you keep your mouth closed. It is about what happened. It is not about what could have. Because a lot of people were also talking about the music choice and how there was like some of the classic like old tracks that used to be in. But like, listen, like there were some new tracks that got put out too. Shout out to Al. Shout out to the Godfather of the South, doing all the great work that he did DJing. And so music choice wise, if you wasn't rocking with it, that's your fault. And if you wasn't in there in the first place, that ain't even your problem. So you're gonna have to miss out with the music side. That's kind of the best thing that I can say. And now let's get into the last little bit, which is if you are aspiring to be a part, not only just of the community and the culture, but if you want to get yourself into an opportunity to be able to win, it's not just on the dance floor that you win. You got to get out of yourself. You got to get away from yourself. Like this, like fear when it comes down to content, when it comes down to being a content creator, approaching who you are as a means to help somebody find who you are through your content. You can't be too cool for the program. I want there to be so many ways for people to learn through the sources and the resources that we have. So obviously I have a lot of content that's up to showcase Krump, showcase how Krump can be, but there's so many better, more opportunities, more people that also can have a voice in this too. And this was come down to content creation. So you have to be putting out your content. And if you don't have a rubric to go through, here's like a quick like base one. You already know what you are, which is a dancer. Now I want you to tell us who you are to us as a dancer. Are you a friend? Are you a big homie? Are you a teacher to me? My just source of information? There's also that too. Who are you to me when I look over at your page? Because when you get into a position where you start to get wins and all this stuff, these are going to be things that are going to happen often. And then you use that as a means to showcase throughout. Battling and all that stuff, that's going to give you the big ups. Every battle that I've dropped has gotten me a lot of views, but it was the information that I was able to pack as a teacher, because that is what I provide, that was able to be that funnel to get me more opportunities, money, clients. It's on who you are and how you represent yourself. And that's how you can also play into the community. Don't be greedy. Don't be selfish. Don't be rude. Be honest. Be straightforward. And just do the work. People are going to talk. Let the haters talk. It only makes us bigger bags in the future. Just do your work. And it all comes back. If you need any more help on this, I will be talking about this in the future, about this in YouTube, about this in Instagram. For my subscribers, you guys already know I talk a lot about this, so I will be discussing a lot more details now that this has already happened. And make sure that once the rounds all drop, you check them out, and let's all enjoy as a community. Let's build again as a community and have some fun with this, because there is more coming. And I hope that I'm not the person that's trying to be the only one representing it in a much more positive light than what we're used to. All right? So I'll catch you guys later. You guys be safe, be easy, and stay buck. All right? All right, like.